down for several reasons. And now I'm doing the guild leading, and I'm also, maybe you can say, the bad cop. I'm the guy who has to tell people the blunt truth. You can ask Valerie if you want.
So you basically, if people fuck up, you tell them, "Get the fuck out of my guild. I don't want you here."
That might be how it sounds to other people. Well, I'm not that bad, but someone has to deliver the news sometimes. Other than this, yeah, we're friendly. I'm not gonna say, "Hey, I'm the guy who holds the pro meters and says who's the best, who's the bad, and stuff like that." So yeah.
So instead of rolling with an iron fist, you roll with like a nice soft hug, and then you whisper in their ear that they're gonna get bashed.
Ironically, I've broken my hand in the past, so I have a piece of metal in my fist. So yeah, maybe the man with the iron fist.
Nice. All right, so I just want to get a short biography of. I mean, we already got a biography from Yobi, but basically of like how your guys' guilds came about, what you guys accomplished in the past, I guess, really quick, and what you hope to accomplish in Storm Legion. Just top to bottom, not Noj or Nodge first.
Yeah, well, you might know that Parabellum's actually recently been part of a merge with XLR. That's where I came from. So I think previously Parabellum's been around since the start of the game. It's gone through lots of different sort of stages. It was a PvP guild originally, I think, and then it went casual and semi-hardcore and all different things. At the moment, with the merge, we're sort of going for, the racing for world first thing. We're going a bit hardcore, so yeah, it's a bit different for a lot of old Parabellum members and new ones coming in, but we're sort of trying to shape the guild to be more hardcore at the moment. And we did get one world first in ID, even though most people sort of ruled it out. It was the first, the second hard mode released. So that's all we've really got at the moment, but yeah, we're hoping to improve in Storm Legion and see what we can do.
Very nice. And what about you, Boar? You're next.
Trinity's been around for a good number of years, like since 2006. They played a game called Vanguard, which some people will have flashbacks about because it was an intense game, i.e. intensely bad. But they were a pretty hardcore raiding guild in that game. Sort of similar statures to the Trinity in this game. But I've only been in the guild for just over a year now. But Trinity, I think, as far as Storm Legion goes, I think they always wanted to be a pretty competitive guild, and in ROS they sort of made that decision that that's what they wanted to do in HK, and then in HK there was, lots of guilds didn't make it through HK, and so they improved their standing though. They did better in HK than they did in ROS, and then it was really I don't know, maybe around the time I joined the guild, coincidence, I think not, they started to get more hardcore and really push. So they went from I think they killed Achilleos after Breaking Bad, so they were behind Breaking Bad's come that, but then they worked pretty hard to go to 5th HK Conqueror, and then in ID they wanted to do better, and so we had a bunch of top 3 kills going into ID, and then we were in top 4 for Mailforge and Lathis, and then same stature for ID Conk. So, Trinity's just sort of steadily moving up, and I think that's what we want to do in Storm Legion. So we're going to compete for world firsts and see what we can do there, but we expect to be in the top 3. That's our expectation for ourselves anyway.
Yeah, you always got to compete for world first. If not, why even raid, whether you get it or not, I mean, at least you tried, and you can never be satisfied with getting second or third. You always got to go for first. And Quarlsberg from Special Olympics, what's up, my man? You tell me your story.
Well, my story is that I joined, just before ID progression, pretty much, so I wasn't there for the HK. I know that Special Olympics come from some old fucking merge before HK got released. And why we named Special Olympics, really no idea, but I guess it's about that the competition kind of made it a sense that we call ourselves Special Olympics when still can be first. Special Olympics has been like the EU first guild ever since HK. Currently we're second, I would say, seeing how Game Over currently sits on the most dungeon expert speedruns. So
Yeah, you
congrats
can't
to them.
compete with that.
What a troll. It's that mustache plus 10 power.
You can't compete with those world first, Quarrel. What do you think you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, Conquer Primal Evil Feast is obviously it's the newest content, and it's the closest world first that has ever been now. So I guess congrats to them. But I think we will come back in Storm Meeting and take most of the world first. That's our goal.
That's the bar that we gotta set. Primeval Feast Conqueror. So everyone knows.
Yep.
All right, so that was nice hearing. I never knew some of that story, so I just wanted to hear some of that, and I'm sure some of the listeners, even if they didn't want to, they're a little bit more informed right now. So I'm just going to do some news real quick, and it's not really super lengthy. It's just that they pretty much confirmed that Stone Legion 2.1 is going to have the Regulos raid, and that's going to share a tier with the Crucia raid. It's going to be the same tier, a little bit, I guess, up from Crucia as far as gear requirement is considered. And then Storm Legion 2.2 is supposed to have some kind of story-driven event that's going to lead to the opening of a new zone. And I think what is right now Northern Brevane, right up there, is called the Dendrome. And there's a video that I got this info from, and I'll put it in the show notes when I release when I put the podcast up on Podomatic and iTunes, so everyone can see, and put it on the Rift forums. And here comes the topic that we've all been waiting for: Storm Legion rating, and we're going to try and get to everything that we can. The question I want to start with is, how do you think that this tier of rating is going to improve on everything that we saw in Hammernell and ID? Hammernell having some pretty incredible encounters, including what I think are the two best encounters in the game so far in Rune King Molinar and Achilleos, and ID having some pretty interesting encounters too, like Lathis and some of the other encounters that have a lot of mechanics but weren't exceptionally hard. And I guess I'll just pick someone random. Carlsberg, you go first. How do you think this tier is going to improve Rift rating overall over HK and ID? And anyone can jump in if you it's not going to be by order. You can just jump in if you have just be courteous. Don't interrupt each other.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about the first tier, I guess you're talking about the Crucia raid. I don't think it's going to be that hard once you get the gear. Competing for the world first and everything is going to be hard just because you have to grind the gear, but I guess we'll touch more on that later. Well, seeing how we haven't really seen anything yet, it's hard to say if it's going to be improved or not, but I'm more like, I want to know more about the hard modes and shit before I can say it's going to be improved. They already said that they're going to make it easier, like pre-Lathius, pretty much. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to be like an improvement in rating, the first tier of rating. It's just going to be like calling it green scale.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to say. I have a feeling it's going to be a race to, see who can get the most 60s, gear them up the fastest, since it is, I guess, confirmed that you do need the dungeon gear. And then once that happens, the hard modes are really going to be what interests people in terms of like difficulty and who did what first, just because, yeah.
That's basically the situation that the other MMO that is currently an active rating MMO is in now anyway. So initial dungeon releases are just, you get through them, and then some specified time after that, hard modes for every encounter unlock. So it's sort of seen, I think, as a pretty level playing field because everybody gets a chance to put in time to get ready for it. You get to see a portion of the mechanics. Not all the mechanics are obviously the same in regular and hard mode. And then everybody gets unlocked at the same time on the resets with, you know, whatever hours difference for EU and US. And then everybody has a race. And so I can see this being very similar. Because I would agree that I'm willing to bet that this is not going to be the most difficult dungeon ever. And so when you start to see like first kills across all shards, you know, 10 kills within an hour of each other, it's basically an indication that the raid got rolled. So I expect something like that to happen in the first dungeon or first raid.
Now, do you think that this is like the future of Rift raiding? Like they're just gonna have normal modes to get everyone, you know, especially with a new expansion or something, they're just gonna have everyone get settled, you know, nice and slow into the new gear, the new specs, the new way of playing your character, and then later tiers.
You cut out, but I'll finish that or answer that, I suppose. My guess is that you know, this one is easier just because they're probably getting so many returning players. They want to make it a little bit more player friendly to the new people, so they don't have to learn quite as much. I mean, the gear reset is obviously a big factor in that. Maybe, you know, later on they'll make it harder, as in like HK when it was released, you know, maybe towards the end of ID, since the beginning of ID was pretty easy. Yeah, I mean, the difficulty could change, it could not change, and they could just make the hard modes really fucking hard. At the moment, it's pretty much all up to speculation because no one really knows what but them.
I remember actually that developer Decoy said they were intending to do this raid not more difficult or the same as difficult as ID because they wanted to attract more players in Rift. So I think it will be more of a gear tech. It will be more of hey guys, just make your guilds, you know, take a raid, go and kill some bosses, have some fun, learn more about raiding, more about Rift, because it's a big challenge for them. You have to remember they have lost subs, and let's be honest about it, and they want to get the subs back, and some of the subs will come from new players, and some of the new players will not have previous raiding experience. So previously they would release some content. It would be quite hard for the beginner, and many people would QQ, and over time they would just dump down the content, so it becomes more and more accessible to people. I think now they're changing this strategy, and they're going to have the normal modes just for everyone, and then they're gonna give you the hard modes for those who need something extra, who want to compete on a higher level. I just don't know how Tryon will keep this up, because, you know, there's always gonna be those people on forums who are gonna say, hey, you know, I want the relic armor, so why do I have to do this freaking hard mode to get that item that I combine with my epic armor? It gives me the relic armor. So we will see how Tryon will handle this, and if they're gonna dump down the hard modes after a while, or they're always gonna keep them at that level. Personally, I think it will sort of be like it is now. They will make the hard modes easier and easier, especially if that includes achievements, because some people playing for achievements, so they want to have the hard mode achievements as well. Just a guess, though.
Yeah,
I think you go ahead.
Sorry, go. No, you go.
All right. I was going to say a point with hard modes as well. If they do release them, I think a point for especially us in this channel is how they release them, and if they release them all at once or individually, and how, you know, us as guilds sort of rank hard mode kills. Because one thing we've got to bring into is, of course, the time difference of release. You know, if they bring it out in the US first, obviously guilds like Trinity and No Quarter are going to have, you know, an extra 12 hours or something on the hard mode boss. So we've got to bring time difference into it. If they release them individually and they release them at the same time, you know, how we're going to rank